Good afternoon, President Conference. As the government's flagship Academies and Free Schools programme sails towards the rocky coast of disaster, it's time to really consider who's going to sink with the wreckage and who's going to be sitting safe in the lifeboats as the hull is finally submerged into the murky waters of the neoliberal education system. Will the captain stand at the bridge and, taking full responsibility, go down fighting to save our schools? Or will those who once claimed to be the champions of education, but who now have more in common with the captains of industry, shed crocodile tears as their lifeboat sails away from the wreckage that they helped to create? One thing's for certain, these CEOs of academy trusts and MATs are not going to be like the pirates of bygone days, scouring the map to see where X marks the spot, then getting out their shovels and digging for treasure. These privateers have had money freely given to them by a government that's more concerned with lining the pockets of the few rather than lining the hungry stomachs of some of our most disenfranchised children. These self-proclaimed educational gurus are doing fantastically well at one thing. Oh yes, they are. They're flouting the constraints of below-inflation public sector pay rises as their pockets bulge with the weight of inflation-busting pay increases. Conference, such is this magic. It appears that for every penny that's stripped from already beleaguered school budgets, £1 seems to miraculously drop into the pay packet of a MAT CEO. Now, the Magnificent Schools Week's website recently published the earnings of some of these magical pirates. Here are some of the staggering figures, naming and shaming them. Dan Moynihan of the Harris Federation earns a staggering £440,000 per year. Toby Salt of the Ormiston Academies Trust earns a whopping £200,000 a year. Diana Owen of the Lead Mat Trust earns an incredible £185,000 a year. Conference, I could go on. These piratical pilferers of the public sector should hang their heads in shame as dedicated, hard-working teachers are increasingly being asked to put their hands in their pockets to provide much-needed resources and even sometimes to feed those very children that we're looking after. Yes, teachers who themselves have had real terms pay cuts in the last 7 years of around 15% have now had the added insult of seeing these CEOs of MATs receiving double-figure percentage increases in their already astronomical wages. And let's not forget, Conference, that these fortunes that go to pay for these huge wages come from the same pot of public money that should be going to fund our schools properly, so that no teacher has to pay for their students' resources, that no teacher has to struggle to make ends meet with below-inflation pay increases, and that no teacher should face the threat of redundancy. And what's really redundant, comrades, is the neoliberal ideology that's seen these few CEO fat cats pile up their plates at the expense of the many. So, Conference, it's time to tear down the Jolly Roger and raise the flag of the National Education Union, a union committed to campaigning to regulation about these excessive salaries. Now, I finish as a lifelong mod. This room has a very special meaning to me. This is the room where the Jam played their last ever gig. So I'll leave you to lunchtime with the words of Paul Weller. I could go on for hours, and I probably will, but I'd sooner put some joy back in this town called Malice. Let's wrestle that money from the fat cat's pockets and put it back into the classrooms where it belongs.
Okay, I'm in a slightly difficult position because it's such a great speech and so on. We could take another speaker, but then that other speaker might then be rushed to finish, and we have got other business. So I think I'm inclined to leave on a high with them. We'll come back to this debate on Monday, and I hope Conference will kind of agree with that.